Hello, welcome to Science Streaks. I'm Melissa and we are going to be discussing thunderstorms with Ruby.
Well, hello there, Melissa.
Hello. So, welcome Ruby. Today we're going to explain fronts thunderstorms.
Well, before we go there, I bought you a pair of these goggles.
Thank you. So, welcome Ruby. What you are going to explain today fronts thunderstorms to us? So, can you tell us about cold fronts?
Well, actually, cold fronts, air cools as it rises, and the moisture condenses to produce clouds and precipitation ahead of and along the cold front. In contrast to lifting along a warm front, upward motions along a cold front, or typically more vigorous, producing deeper clouds and more intense bands of showers and thunderstorms. However, these bands are typically quite narrow and move rapidly just ahead of the cloud.
But isn't there another type of front too?
Yes, it's called occluded front. This is a more complex type of front, in which a cold front overtakes a slower moving warm front. When that happens, the cold air mass behind the cold air eventually catches up and comes into contact with the cold air mass underneath the warm front. The boundary between these two cold air masses is an occluded front.
Now, how do these two fronts develop thunderstorms?
Well, it's actually kind of simple. Violent thunderstorms along and ahead of the front can result due to the drop in temperature caused by the fronts.
How cool. So what about thunderstorms?
Well, there are three stages of thunderstorms. The first one is cumulus. The cumulus stage is the initial stage of thunderstorm development. This is when the updraft reaches the condensation point in the atmosphere and begins to form the cumulus cloud. The next one is matter stage. Matter stage begins when the first drop of precipitation from the cumulus cloud reaches the ground. In the convection cycle, this is when the water droplets become too heavy for the updraft to hold aloft. And lastly is the dissipating stage. The dissipating stage is the end of a thunderstorm. This is when precipitation falls through the cloud, breaking it up during the dissipating stage. The humidity and the air drops and the precipitation ends.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know, there are many amazing things about this.
How about the weather? I hear it's pretty severe.
Thunderstorms are the most commonly observed forms. Several weather conditioning thunderstorms are highly powerful and cause immense damage to people and property. So I hope people are smart and won't go outside.
Okay, but what about the lightning, when lightning is developed in the thunderstorms?
So now we learn that lightning strike is a discharge of static electricity accumulated in clouds, but we didn't say anything about its development. The typical storm cloud responsible for lightning is cumulonimbus. The big heavy cloud, assigned 15 kilometers upward, its base is about 2 to 3 kilometers above ground. Usually, they are appearing in periods of year when the ground is warmer and the warm air is heading towards the cloud atmosphere.
Okay, well, where are the charges located in the thunderstorm?
In some cases, positive charges come to the ground from several thunderstorms or from the annual at the very top of the thunderstorm cloud. The whole process takes less than a millionth of a second.
So can you tell us some safety tips?
Well, for sure, stay or go indoors. If you hear thunder, don't go outside unless absolutely necessary. Remember, by counting the seconds between the flash and the thunder and dividing by 5, you can estimate your distance from the strike in miles. Stay away from anything that could conduct electricity. This includes fireplaces, radiators, stoves, metal pipes, skins, and phones. Don't use a telephone during the storm lightning may strike. Telephone lines outside. Stay in your automobile if you are traveling. Automobiles give you excellent lightning protection.
Are you feeling down? Sad? Weak? We'll try a new Mindstorm. Welcome back to Science Streaks. Now we have a new guest. Leslie, come on in.
Well, thank you for having me today, Melissa.
Yeah. So, Lizzie, what can you tell us about the difference between a tornado and a thundercloud?
Well, it's actually pretty simple. A tornado begins as rotating a thundercloud shape extends. A thunderstorm cloud base. A thundercloud is made visible by cloud droplets. However, in some cases, it appears by invisible due to the moisture. When a thundercloud is halfway between the cloud and the base, it's called a tornado. The tornado is high-speed winds rotating a small, relatively clean center. The stuck-up disc serves making a tornado darker and more easier to see.
So, where in the United States are the most tornadoes?
The majority occurs in the middle of the United States. Cold and warm air fronts meet together coming from the mountains, desert, and Caribbean Sea. Tornado Alley. This is an area in which most tornadoes hit, which includes all states in Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, and Illinois. The spring season is very popular times for tornadoes to happen.
How are tornadoes ranked?
Well, actually, the FO goes to 64 to 116 kilometers. And light damages the chemicals, tree branches break off, shallow rotated tree pushes over sign boards damages.
Explain some safety tips.
Level arcade gyms and other free SAP rooms existing in ordinary fashion. Go to interior rooms and halls on the lowest floor. But avoid halls that open to the outside in any direction. If there are no interior hallways, avoid those that open to the southwest, south, and west, since that is usually the direction the tornado will come. Stay away from glass, both in windows and doors. Crouch down and make as small a target as possible. If you have something to cover your head, do so, otherwise you use your hand. Don't assume that there will always be a teacher and other adult there to tell you what to do. If there is, you should follow their directions, but you need to know these things.
Okay, well, we'll be back after this.
Tired of the old new hairstyle? We'll try our new Totally Twisted shampoo.
Wow!
It's amazing.
What did she do to you?
It's ready to do that. That was cool. I keep doing it out there.
And this is how your hair comes out when you're finished totally twisting it.
Well, welcome back to Science Week, and now we have both our new special guests, Leslie and Ruby.
Well, thanks for having me.
So, what can you guys tell us about the first stages in a hurricane?
Well, the first stage I'll be talking about is tropical disturbance. The birth of a hurricane having only a slight circulation with no closed isobars around any area of low pressure. Tropical disturbance commonly exists in tropical trade winds.
Oh, really? What would be the second stage?
Well, to me, this is the most interesting, tropical dispersion. It sustains winds increases at least 20 knots. A disturbance is upgraded to a tropical dispersion. Surface wind speeds are varied between 20 and 35 knots, and a tropical dispersion has at least one closed ibosor at the accomplish of a drop in a pressure in a certain in a storm.
That's really interesting. I never knew these stuff till now.
Yes, I know there's a lot of interesting things about hurricanes.
Oh yes, indeed. At least two stages now. Tropical storm is if sustained wind speed increases at least 35 knots. A tropical dispersion is upgraded to a tropical storm. Surface wind speed varies between 35 and 64 knots, and the storm becomes more organized. Tropical storms resume an appearance of hurricanes due to the interference circulation. And hurricanes, as surface pressure continues to drop, a tropical storm becomes a hurricane. When a sustained wind speed increases into 64 knots, a pronounced rotation develops around the certain core. A spiral ring rotate around the eye of the storm. The heaviest precipitation and the storm wind are associated with the eye wall.
Oh gosh, hurricanes are so dangerous.
Yes, but they are very interesting to learn about.
I bet they are.
Yes, is there any more questions you have for us?
Yes. How do hurricanes form? And hurricanes form in the name of the area.
Well, hurricanes do an important job for the Earth. They help move heat from warm tropical places to the cooler temperature zone. To do this, they typically form between 5 to 15 degrees latitude north and south of the equator. Then they thunder across the warm oceans of the world, such as the Atlantic, the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean, and the Western Pacific Ocean, where they are called typhoons. Up to higher latitudes, hurricanes happen when the oceans have been warm during summer months. In the North Atlantic, hurricane season is from June 1st to November 30th. But most hurricanes happen during the fall.
So what's the Saffir-Simpson scale?
The Saffir-Simpson Hurricane Scale is 1 of 5 rating based on a hurricane's present state. This is used to give an estimated or proportional property damage and flooding expected along the coast of a hurricane. Landfall, wind speed, and determining factors of a scale and of a storm. Surge values are highly dependent on the slopes, current itself, and the shape of the coastline. In the landfall region, note that all winds are used in the U.S. 1 minute average.
Well, I sure know a lot about hurricanes now. Thank you for being here, Leslie and Ruby. We'll see you next time with our new special guest, Bill Nye, the science guy. Don't miss it next Tuesday at 6 p.m. on TBS Kids.